exactly this. So we will record this meeting, which also means that you will receive the recording afterwards in a follow-up email. And now I would like to officially start this meeting. Hi, welcome everyone. It's great that you are with us today. I'm Christina. I'm a European Programs Officer at The Wheel, and our topic of today is building an EU partnership. And partnerships are indeed essential to EU funding. It is a crucial part of securing EU funding. However, it is also one of the biggest barriers, and it can be challenging to find the right partners. So today we will look at some basic principles, and also we will give you some very concrete tricks and tools how to find partners and to build a partnership. But first of all, I would like to introduce our special guest, and that is Michael Ward. He is a CEO at the Mullinger Employment Action Group, and Michael will share his experiences with you later, because the Mullinger Employment Action Group is working as a partner organization in EU-funded projects since many years. And I would like to thank you for being with us today, Michael. We are very happy to have you on board.
Thank you.
And hi there. And also my colleague Emily is with us as a tech support. Hi, Emily. She will take care of everything in the background, everything going on. She will monitor the chat also. So if there should be any technical issues, feel free to reach out to her. Okay, so let's have a look at today's agenda. As I mentioned before, we will record the meeting. We will share the recording with you afterwards, as well as all slides and links. So everything that is presented here today, we will share afterwards. You will receive the follow-up email by the end of this week. What we will do first is we will talk and have a look at why partnerships are essential, what are partnerships on EU level, and what are they not. Then Michael Ward will tell us in his case study how they, as a well-established actor in EU-funded projects with a huge experience, how they go about finding partners, work together once a partnership is established, and we will have like a look into their EU-funded projects. Then we will have a short break, come back together again, and then I would share some very concrete tools, tips, websites, databases on how to find partners, and also on the first steps of establishing partnerships. So that's then the second part, and we ended with a Q&A session. So this is your possibility to ask questions either to me, but also to Michael. If you have questions already during the presentations, during the case study, please pop them in the chat. So either we answer them directly there, if it's like easy questions, or otherwise we would pick them up in the Q&A session. If it's a very individual, very specific question, because you have like whatever, a very specific situation at the moment with your organization, please also feel welcome to reach out to us via email. Write us an email to our team here at Access Europe, and we will respond to those then individually. Okay. That's it for the agenda, and we would like to start with a quick poll in the beginning. The question is, how much experience do you have working with EU partners? You should see the poll, even though I'm sharing. Exactly. So this is definitely for us very interesting to know, to just see who's in the room, so how much experience you bring. And this is meant at EU level, okay? I'm sure you have partnerships already on the national level, but we would like to know and to see how much experience you already have on a European level, because this is sometimes can be very different. Okay, so just looking at the results at the moment, and what we can see is that half of the people, 50%, about 50%, have some experience. So you already had maybe 1 or 2 partnerships on EU level. We see also that like a big group already has none experience, and there are a few with a lot of experience. So we have a rather group that has some or no experience, which is good, because we will really start. Okay, I think now you see the results, right? I'm sorry, I hope you see the results now. So okay, so but this is an interesting combination, because we will look really also at the basics first, and then look also on the next steps, how to build a partnership. So I'm sure we will be covering a lot of interesting topics for you here today. Okay, thanks for that. We will now look at why partnerships are so important to EU-funded projects. Because, and that's a fact, the vast majority of EU programs indeed require some kind of partnerships. It can be challenging, and we know that very well, to find partners who share the same vision, goals, and commitment. And also, even if you have found those partners, it requires networking and relationship building efforts. And it takes time establishing trust with potential partners. So we will take a deeper look at these aspects now. Just to mention, we'll not look at EU funding or EU funding programs themselves. For example, like, how do these programs work? What do they fund, selection criteria, and so forth? This would simply go beyond the scope of what we are able to cover here today. However, I would like to recommend two resources to you. And the first one is the Access Europe website, accesseurope.ie. This is our website, and there you will find handy overviews of the major EU funding programs, as well as key EU policy areas. We post all the funding deadlines there. We include all the key details like budgets and number of partners needed. So if you would like to get first an overview of EU programs, please go here. And also I would like to recommend our YouTube channel, because we run a variety of trainings throughout the year, and they range from a general introduction to EU funding, designing your EU project, writing EU funding applications, and so forth. So if you would like to get a head start on EU funding and EU funding programs, this channel, the YouTube channel, might be useful to you. Today, we look at partnerships on EU level. That is connected to EU funding programs, so I will mention that a lot. But again, we will not look at EU funding programs themselves or how funding is working. So to make it concrete, there are a lot of EU programs out there, right? And what I just said, with the exception of some particular cases, there's no EU project which would not require cooperation among different actors and countries. And I put a basic rule here. So don't completely rely on that. I said 3 partner organizations from different countries. This is just a basic rule. Yeah. So we have different programs, and each program, each call maybe has its own guidelines and requirements. This is just to give you an idea. And you see also the 3 examples here. We have often a minimum of 3 organizations from different EU member states. But for example, Erasmus, they have also knowledge alliances, which would require a consortium of at least 6 organizations. They have smaller partnerships, small scale projects that would be only 2. Yeah, but as a basic rule, so just what you're faced with when you would like to do a EU funded project, this is what you would be facing. So it can be definitely more or less, right? But what I would like to talk about for a second is, why are partnerships actually so essential to EU-funded projects? So why does the EU made this an obligation? And highlighting this shows very good the major difference compared to national funding. And there are a few, so it's probably pretty good to look first at this. I put some points here just for you to understand the perspective of the EU, the one you're applying for, the one you want money from. So first of all, it is a very practical reason for the EU to do this, because they can pool resources. If you split up funding on multiple organizations, you can maximize your impact, because you can support larger scale projects that may be beyond the capacity of individual organizations. So from the perspective of the EU, it makes sense, right? And then the next 2 points: collaboration, integration, cross-border cooperation. This is exactly what the EU is all about. It's about collective action. It's about strong relationships between member states. And if you bring together organizations from different countries, from sectors, disciplines, including research institutions, nonprofits, you bring together private companies with public entities and so forth. So these partnerships then contribute to the cohesion, to the knowledge sharing, to the mutual understanding. The point of EU policies and objectives is also a very important point, and also one basic rule for EU-funded projects, actually, because EU-funded projects are aligned with the EU policies and objectives. That can, for example, be the EU Green Deal or the European Pillar of Social Rights. By engaging with partners, the EU ensures that these overall goals and strategies are actually addressed, and that they are that via the projects, via the partnerships, they are contributing to these goals and strategies. And then, of course, an important point is that you would like to show that it's a hub of innovation, research, and development. So strengthening networks of research and innovation, establishing collaboration between researchers, sharing research infrastructure, increasing joint research efforts, that's all on the agenda of the EU in any case. So I thought that this is maybe pretty good to see, okay, where is all of this coming from and why is all of this happening, and giving you an idea why it actually plays such a crucial role when it comes to EU funding. What does that now mean for you and for your organization? So what are your benefits, right, if you do all of this, if you start a partnership on EU level? First of all, it is always a possibility to learn and share. So you have the possibility to exchange good practices, acquire new skills. You will have access to new ideas, new knowledge for your organization. What I just mentioned, EU funding is connected to your policy goals. So you will also have the possibility to connect with and influence policy. It is a possibility to be innovative. So different perspectives together foster better solutions. You are having the possibility to actually experiment and to test new and innovative tools. And it is always a chance to access new sources of funding. And maybe this is an important point, because once you have participated, first of all, this brings you to a stage where you can reach for bigger scale projects. So you can kind of build your capacity in the EU funding arena, but however, also it enhances your credibility for potential new donors. So they see what you have done, what you have accomplished, and that in general has a positive influence on your organization's reputation. So just to conclude, these are the long-term benefits of European development and being involved in EU partnerships. However, we should also talk about what they are not and what they should not be. Because working as a team, and you might know that already on a national level, this comes with many challenges. And that is especially true in multi-partner EU-funded projects. Building a team with multiple partners in a cross-border partnership is indeed a challenge. So joining an EU partnership never should be for you an afterthought or an inconvenience. It should never be the goal for pure subcontracting or outsourcing tasks. It is definitely relationship building. It is trust building on a daily basis, and also over a very long time span. So a project usually can last a couple of years. So the entire process of the project, you will be working with these people. And a tick box exercise, it is definitely not. A partnership always needs to be patiently built to make it a successful one, to make it a productive one. And that takes a lot of resources and also, believe me, times and nerves. I know what I'm talking about. So this is what partnerships should not be, and that what you should be aware of. They are, also, of course, also not without risk. So partners could drop out. The project could not deliver right on their work packages. So there's always also risk involved. This is what you should know before you actually enter such an, or should be aware of that this could be happening. But what happens when you say now, okay, look, I would like to go out and build a consortium, right? I would like to design a new partnership. We created a checklist just for you to see what kind of questions should you ask yourself. You always should go one step back and say, okay, what skills are needed to deliver on my project? So who do I need? What are the key expertises to make this project happen? How can a partnership actually help to deliver this project? Do I need a partnership to deliver this? And also, why should this be carried out at the EU level? So what is the European dimension? And that is very important, because this is exactly what is EU funding all about? Does it make sense to put it on an EU level? What is the advantage it actually gets from cross-border cooperation and from the cooperation with different partners in different perspectives? And also you should ask yourself, how will you allocate tasks and responsibilities across the partnership? What are the roles? We usually recommend to maybe not start as a lead for a project, but as a partner first. If you would take the lead role, all the administrative burden, all the responsibility, often also managing the project, actually lies on your side. So especially if you are new to EU funding, we would recommend to join an already established consortium. They are out there. People actually are looking for organizations with experience and with special skills. So you could also be invited into a consortium. You can then, being just a partner in a project, learn about the processes, about the challenges, from this perspective of not being the lead, how it works in general, and then maybe the next step is to design your own project and to build your own consortium. So, but that is, I saw it for the poll. We have some that I have already experienced, so maybe it's your interest now to actually to have your own project and design your own partnership around that. And also, one more checklist that is important in building your consortium is make sure if you build this up, these different organizations, are they representing different sectors and stakeholders? Do we have a diversity of perspectives in the group? Do we have different skills and expertise that we actually need to deliver on the project? Do we have the geographical spread and also have these partners the reach and the capacity needed to deliver on the project? That is sometimes not so easy to find out. I will give you some tips later on how to do that and how to find the right partners, where to find the right partners. But this is just for you before you actually start going out there and looking for partners. You should ask yourself those questions, look at those aspects before building a consortium. We will look now at two very concrete examples of partnerships and consortiums connected. And these are two projects that are actually where the wheel was the coordinator. So this is in scope as an Erasmus Plus project, or was an Erasmus Plus project. It's an online learning platform with a target group of voluntary and charitable organizations and also social enterprises. And you see here the consortium that we assembled for this project. These were 6 organizations from 5 EU member countries, and they collaborated in different work packages. So it was the goal was to develop an online platform, evaluate an online platform, build learning content, so develop learning content in this virtual environment, and also to create a validation system so that you would get a certificate afterwards you've done this learning content on the platform. So you can imagine, who do you need? What kind of consortium do you need to actually deliver on all of these work packages? You see here, beside of the wheel, we had 3 other sector representative bodies in Scotland, for example, or in Latvia. We had a technology partner, and we had a vet provider. So what all partners shared in this project was a common purpose on providing training, support, advice, advocacy to the third sector. And that's very important, that you actually also have a common purpose in this consortium. The second one that I would like to mention is Revitalise, and it's also Erasmus Plus funded. It is currently running, and again, the wheel here is the project coordinator. We have again a partner consortium, as you can see here. This project aims to revitalize the European social economy sector. So what we needed were partners with a strong focus on education, but also on social economy. And you can see we have a lot of non-profits of social enterprises also involved. And we also have a university partner, the Dublin City University, involved as a research partner delivering here on the evaluation part, mainly. So that was it from my side. And we have now a real life example in the room today, Michael Ward, CEO at Mullingar Employment Action Group. And Michael, I would now stop sharing, and he will tell you about his experiences based on years of running youth-funded projects himself, and he probably can do that way better.
Yes, hi, thanks, Christina. Hi. I'm just going to open my slide here and we'll get going. So share screen. Okay, we have a slide up on the screen with MEAG on it.
Yes, absolutely, we see that.
Okay. Yeah, so just very quickly, I'll introduce the Action Group. We're a community supported not-for-profit in Mullingar in County Westmeath, and founded initially in 1986 and officially incorporated as a company when we opened our first enterprise centre in 1990. So we've been around a long time. With our I suppose, reason for being, it was back in that time, Mullingar was a particular black spot for employment. So the Action Group committee was initially set up, and with a view to looking at projects that could help build employment and sustain employment in local enterprise and so on and so forth. So that's why we're here, and we have grown a bit and got a few more interests over the years. So at the moment, currently we have 2 enterprise centres, the Mullingar METIC, it's called, an MCEC, Mullingar Community Enterprise Centre, and the Mullingar Enterprise Technology and Innovation Centre. We run schemes for DSP, CE scheme, Job Initiative scheme, which is gradually winding down, but we have a CE scheme with 35 participants on it at the moment. We still have 7 on CE. We've a Pobble CSP scheme, which is an employment scheme supported by Pobble Community Service Programme. We have 7 staff on that. And outside of that, we run our own school uniform shop. We serve over 30 schools locally, and that is one of our income generation streams. Obviously, the rents are another one. And finally, EU projects that we have been involved in since 2015. So this kind of gives a little bit of our funding mix. So as you see, the rents, the Erasmus Plus, and the job activation, or not the job activation, but the uniform boutique are our 3 primary income sources. And like Erasmus was kind of a game changer for us when we started to get involved in it, because it brought in a lot of extra work, a lot of extra income, and it offered us a cushion during the last pandemic when the rents dried up and the boutique to some extent also dried up. So Erasmus Plus allowed us an opportunity to keep the show on the road, keep people working. And at that time we got involved in a lot more projects than we normally would, and it helped balance the books. So it's been a lifesaver for us, let's say, in the last few years. So the European projects that we get involved in are part of Erasmus Plus, which is the program for education, training, youth and sport in Europe. And Erasmus Plus has got a number of funding streams. I think my next slide will, or a number of opportunities within it. So it offers opportunities in higher education, vocational education and training, which I've underlined, which is primarily what we've been doing, and the types of projects we get involved in. School education, adult education, youth education and sport education. I've also underlined because just in March, in the most recent call, we submitted our first adult education bid or project, and we're waiting to hear on that. And we have been looking at youth and sport as well. I suppose precipitated by being asked by local clubs and organisations who are involved in these areas about the opportunities that might be there, and can we help them develop projects and lead projects that they would partner in, and so on and so forth. So they would be projects that potentially in the future we'll develop partnerships for. So as I say, 2015 is when we started, and since then we partnered with 49 different organizations from 23 different countries in Europe on 13 Erasmus Plus projects, 5 of them which we ourselves led. So it's been an interesting ride for the last 8 years only. So these are some of the projects we participated on. I suppose, contrary to what Christina said, we kind of jumped in at the deep end, and our first project was a crucial crowdfunding project, and we wrote it ourselves. We built the partnership ourselves, and we led it ourselves. So, and we'll talk a little bit about how we did that later on, but we went in at the deep end. So there's no right way or wrong way, but we were able to do that because I had on a previous employment experience working in projects. So for the organization, it was completely new, but for me, we kind of knew the terrain and we knew how to go about it. The reason we looked at Erasmus Plus, a few reasons, I suppose. Income was definitely one of them, but it was more than just that. So we were looking to get more work for the staff we had, and we were looking to generate new positions, and we were looking to generate income. But we were also looking to sort of broaden our horizons, learn from others, see what others are doing throughout Europe, raise the profile of the organisation as well. So these were all good reasons to look at Erasmus Plus. And Erasmus Plus was the program of choice for us, because having previously worked on Interreg projects and things like that, Erasmus Plus is a very good entry level sort of program, because the administration is not as onerous as some of the other projects. The budgets are smaller than the likes of Interreg, things like that. So for a small organization like MEAG, we were in a position to lead a project, and we had the financial capacity to be awarded a project, which we wouldn't have in some of the other larger project programs. So yeah, I'm just going to go by way of talking about how we built consortiums and partnerships and so on. I'm just going to take the first project. So Crucial Crowdfunding 2015. So it was submitted in March 2015. And the idea was to look at crowdfunding with a view to our sort of client base, which would be a lot of SMEs and small businesses and social enterprises and so on. So we wanted to develop a learning product that they could learn how to take advantage of crowdfunding, which was growing at the time, but it was a mystery to a lot of people. So what we actually did to try and build a consortium, we started looking at it in 2014, and we actually set up a LinkedIn group. On LinkedIn, you can set up networking groups, and we set up a LinkedIn Erasmus Plus partner search, specifically targeting companies like ours, or who are working with enterprises and startups and SMEs. So interestingly, that group attracted a lot of attention. There's a lot of partners out there if you can find them, but there are a lot of partners out there looking to participate in European projects and looking to participate in Erasmus Plus projects. So I actually closed the group when there was 100 members in it, and we started to look through who we had, and eventually we picked a partnership. So these were our very first partners. We had a partner in Estonia, Youth in Science and Business Foundation. So we picked them as our technology partner, purely because they kind of promoted themselves for dissemination, technology, website building, things like that, that we personally didn't, in the Action Group, didn't have skills in. The Malta Communications Authority were also very strong in that. They're a state agency in Valletta in Malta. So e-commerce was a big part of what they do. From developing the training point of view, we got involved with the other organizations, Institute of Entrepreneurship and Development, GLAFCA, IED are in Greece, GLAFCA were in the Czech Republic, RLN were a UK-based company, and Dramblys were a Spanish company. So this was, as it turned out to be a very good partnership, and we learned a lot working with these people. And I think 1, 2, 3, 4 of those people we've worked on numerous projects subsequently. And in fact, Dramblys, you will see popping up every project we write, bar one, I think. Dramblys are a partner on. IED tend to be a partner on almost all of our projects as well, because they have proved to be excellent on the technology side, building, training, product, e-learning, websites, dissemination, that sort of thing. The reason we didn't work with Malta Communications Authority since is that the 2 or 3 guys that we worked with on this project had moved on into the private sector subsequently. So we haven't worked with those guys again. And we learned a lesson. We learned the bad partner lesson as well with our Estonian partner, who we learned that not to ever work with again for various reasons. If anybody wants to ask the question later on in the question and answer, I'll be happy to oblige. But in general, that was a very successful project for us. And we built some very strong partnerships, as you can see, since then. RLN, unfortunately, we won't be able to partner with anymore, but we've partnered with them on a couple of projects since then as well. But as they're out of the EU and they haven't set up an Irish company yet, we won't be working with them again. So yeah, following on from that project, our next project, and this actually came from the previous project, because while working with SMEs and crowdfunding and that, we found some craft breweries and microbreweries it was basically exploding back in 2016, that whole business, with a lot of new entrants, and a lot of them were looking at sources of funding and looking at crowdfunding. So that's how we came across that. And while we were working on the crowdfunding project, we noticed that a lot of these guys were coming from industries as diverse as teaching, engineers, tech guys, a lot of home brewers who had no experience of business. So we looked at a project to so we'll develop a training product, smilebrewing.com, to develop a training product for those guys to show them the business side of brewing as well as the brewing side of brewing. So a different skill set required, a new partnership or a new consortium was required, and I think we'll have a look at how we built it on the next page. So yeah, our partners, you'll see a couple of familiar ones. GLAFCA were there again, the Czech partners, the Czech Republic being probably known for beer and their brewing industry. Dramblys, again, this Spanish partner who have proved to be very good at course development and curriculum development and so on. We worked with a Spanish partner on this one who are specialised in training in food and beverage and agricultural management, but primarily we took them aboard food and beverage. They had a lot of contacts in that area as well. which was very good. In training, who were introduced to us by RLN, actually. RLN, we asked about this project and they said it's not for them, but they introduced us to In Training, who are a company who specialize in training into the hospitality sector. So they were a wonderful addition to that project, actually. And then finally, we brought in the European Brewing Convention, which is part of the Brewers of Europe. And they are an umbrella group for the brewing industry in Europe, and they work with all the brewers. So purely for to give the project legitimacy, for dissemination, for expertise, for running workshops, things like that. And finally, we did an official launch in Brussels. This gave our project a reach, I suppose, and a legitimacy that it would have never had without the Brewers of Europe. The interesting thing about that project is, if I go back to previous slide, I won't go back to this previous slide, but in my previous slide when I showed the projects, there were two Smile Brewing projects. There's a Smile CE project, and as an example of what can happen when you have a well-run project, a well-disseminated project that people will pick up on it. And this project was picked up by Changemaker in Sweden, who we had no previous contact with, but they decided to do a follow-on project on this. And they were looking at the whole concept of the circular economy and how it can apply to the brewing industry and the raw materials to go into the brewing industry. So Smile CE was born, and we were invited onto that project. And we were introduced to a whole host of new potential partners and people to work with. So that's kind of how the network grows on these types of projects. The example of In Training being introduced to us by another partner we had worked with, and the example of the project being picked up, and we'd be contacted, and they had their partners. We actually brought Drambley's onto that project as well again. So at this stage, our network was growing quite wide. Another project we developed was one called Push, Pop-Up Shop Helper. It was aimed at artistic community or creators, and it was aimed at how to get from being a maker to being a business or an enterprise, how to commercialize your work. And the main vehicle we did for that was to look at pop-up shops and how an enterprise would set up a pop-up shop. So in this case, we wrote, this was one of our own projects that we led. All of these projects I'm going through now are projects we led, and we built a consortium. So again, we buy ED, who we've seen there before. We've the University of Kaunas, University Kaunas in Lithuania, who were introduced to us by Drambley's. We've worked with that university on 3 projects now at this stage, I think. We brought in Recreate from Ireland because we decided, and it's a natural thing we do now in every project we write, we'll bring in a local Irish partner, and we'll bring in a partner who hasn't worked on Erasmus Plus before. So it's a way of I suppose sharing the knowledge and sharing the opportunity with other organizations like ourselves. So, and I think it's something when you're writing a bid that's very valued by the evaluators as well. So they love to see partners that haven't been involved in the program before, and they love to see a second Irish partner when we submit to Lergas. Lergas being the national agency.
Michael, just giving you a 5-minute notice here.
That's all right. This is our last project and our most recent one. Thank you.
All right.
This was our last project, our most recent project. And in the consortium building here, this is a project on mental health in the workplace. The consortium building here, we brought in a local partner, Good to Talk. You can see Drambley's there again. But In Training are there again. We found out that apart from hospitality training or training in that area. They did a lot of health and safety, and they actually delivered training on mental health, first aid for mental health and these sorts of things. So those guys got involved. And the other three partners here, we met at a contact seminar in Romania that was funded by Leargas, the national agency. And if you ever get an opportunity to go to one of these contact seminars, if you're looking to build a consortium or get involved in projects, it's invaluable. We met so many good people there, and we wrote another project the same time we wrote this project. We brought in, I think, 5 other partners. We wrote it for Stroud College in the UK. It wasn't for ourselves, but we built our network. I'd say we doubled our network at that contact seminar alone. And we got invited onto projects, and we got very good partners for our projects. The beauty of the contact seminar is that you can actually meet them and talk to them and look in their eyes, and you're pretty sure what they're about before you get involved with them, because there's always a risk when you're working with a partner you've never worked before. You don't know how to work, you don't know what their work ethic is, you don't know are they punctual, are they lazy, you don't know until you work with them. So yeah, the interesting one here, I think, or the most interesting one for me, was this Turkish partner who was the district governorship in Izmir. And we really brought them on because mental health supports are at very low basic level in Turkey. So to bring them guys on, they contributed so much through their enthusiasm, through their dissemination, through their desire to kind of use what we had done to build their capacity in Turkey. So yeah, what have we learned in 8 years? We've learned, don't be afraid to lead a project. I think you might have said something very similar. Start with a clear understanding of what you want to do before you decide on your project, before you decide on your partners. Know what you want to do. And we've worked on other projects with managers, with bad managers, I say, who have a project, they've got it approved, they haven't even wrote it themselves. So you have to be very careful. There's companies out there and they're writing projects for organizations, and the organizations are taking them on. And then when it comes to leading them, they don't actually know what they're doing or how to do it. And so I would say, be careful of those projects there, steer clear of them. But be very clear in your own mind, if you're leading a project, what you want to do, and choose the partners to fit into the different roles or the different needs you have in that project, and trust your instincts. So if you think somebody is not reliable, you're probably right. Something that Christina said as well, it's not subcontracting, but I will say that when you're working with partners, you're contractually, you are contracted a national agency. So you are effectively subcontracting to the other partners, even though it's a collaborative environment. But from a financial point of view, they're subcontractors. So even if you get paid all the money up front, don't pay all the money up front. Work out a payment schedule based on deliverables. And ultimately, you're the decision maker. So sometimes something can happen on projects as well, is that they kind of get stagnant because decisions are not being made. So it's very important that as a project leader that you're prepared to make the decisions and move the thing along when it needs to be. The other things I would say is keep records and use the national agency, in this case Leargas, because they're wonderful and they're great help, and they're your friend, as I say, and they'll always be your friend. So I think that's all I've got to say, Christina.
Excellent, Michael. Wow, you touched on so many points here. When it comes to these contact seminars provided or hosted by Leargas, I will also talk about those, but also that you actually have kind of, how I understood it, a mentorship program for Irish organizations to bring in new ones into the partnership. I love that, because this is exactly what you need. You need an experienced partner, and then you can join. And also this aspect of that the EU they like it if there's like a new, not experienced organization yet. This is actually then also an advantage for the whole project, because you bring in new organizations in this. So I love those ones especially. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also what I picked up is that you actually you started as a lead, very courageous to say, but you had like kind of inside knowledge, and that was the important part, because they had you, so you could kind of, even though your organization was new to it, there was someone who knew what would be what you would expect, right? Or what could be like the challenges connected to that. So that is an important point. But yeah, wow, I'm proud you started as a lead. That's big.
Yeah, I guess the fear wasn't there because I had experience of projects before. So if an organization doesn't have any experience, there's the fear of the unknown. So that yes, can prevent you from taking the step.
Absolutely, I totally see that. And also what I liked is that you said like our goals actually for going for EU-funded projects was you wanted to develop the organization. So you actually wanted also to create workforce, right? So to create new parts. And I like that you had actually this plan when you started, you know where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Very impressive, very, very impressive. Really, you touched like on a lot of points there. And I have 1 minute before we would go into the break, and maybe we could ask this question very quickly to you, because it's directed to you directly. What are the basics that one needs to identify a prospective partner that might not work out? Are there any signals from your experience? Like, what gives you the first signals? What are there where you would say, oh no, we don't include them?
I think an obvious one is when you're building a project application, you're requiring some input from the partners. And if it's not coming, or if it's slow coming, at application stage, when they're probably most committed, when it comes to delivering on the project, chances are they're going to be a problem.
Okay, true.
But
that is a red flag.
Another way then is to kind of look back at Erasmus Plus projects and see what they've been involved in before. And maybe at the first time you do it, you don't really have the context, but it's a small world, actually. After a few years, I think at this stage now, there'd be very few partners that some of my contacts wouldn't have come across at some stage. So, but obviously that doesn't help the first time you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like I say, trust your instincts. People can be very intuitive, even from a distance, you know. But, yeah, definitely yes. Delivery of anything.
Great. Trust your instincts. I like that. And thanks a lot, Michael, for sharing all this experience with us. I would now like to start a short comfort break for everyone, for us to just get another cup of tea. And after 10 minutes, so we would come back here at 3. All together after 10 minutes, 8 minutes now about, I would then share some very concrete tips, some databases, exactly those contact seminars that were already mentioned by Michael, because there are a lot of people are trying to find partners, and there are already some established systems where you can find those partners. So I will share those very concrete tools with you, how to find partners, and then afterwards also give you some first steps on how to establish a partnership. So we touch upon that, and then we come to the Q&A. So if you have any more questions, and I see there are some others, we would pick them up then in our audience Q&A afterwards. But first of all, have a nice break, get another cup of tea, and we meet back here at 3 p.m. Thanks a lot. So, hello everyone. I hope you had a nice break and are ready for the last or second part of this event today. Hi, Michael. What will happen now, as I just said, is I will look at or will share with you some concrete tools to find partners, and then we look at how to establish partners. This will be about like 15 to 20 minutes, and then we have time in the end for the audience Q&A and for your questions. Again, if you already have questions, pop them in the chat. They will be monitored by my colleague Emily, and then we will pick them up, no worries. So, this part will be about, as I mentioned, concrete tips and tools, platforms, websites, and so forth, because it can be daunting to build a consortium at first, it is actually really rare that you have to build it from scratch, as Michael did, but Michael is our hero of today, I would say. He brought that experience also with him, but still, as I mentioned, if you think, okay, look, I would like to just link in with some people, I would like to find partner organizations out there, maybe you don't have to build it from the start. If you would like to do that, if you're at this point, definitely go for it. And we just heard from Michael some very good tips and tricks how to do that and what to look for when you actually are building this consortium. But also here for a start, you just need sometimes a very few good ones. And also we saw it with Michael for the next projects, it get easier and easier because you actually saw they partnered again with these organizations where it worked out well and where they had an overlap, like how they worked and they worked well together. So they decided, okay, we will do another project together. So you maybe just need a couple of key contacts, and from then on you enter new networks and new partnerships. So it's kind of a snowball method here. The easiest way always is to use existing contacts. So check what contacts you have here in Ireland. If you have any contacts throughout Europe, many of them, some of them may be active in new projects or they are connected to networks. So a personal recommendation can always go a long way. And as also Michael mentioned, be sure who you are reaching out to here, because you will work closely with people in these partnerships for years. So trust, mutual understanding is very essential. So also check who are you reaching out, who are those people, who are those organizations, have I worked with them before, and maybe they can recommend then more in other networks. Networks is a good topic here also because, and a good keyword, because you can join any EU network. So a network of organizations, member organizations on EU level for nearly every topic. It's out there for democracy, arts, volunteering, education, social economy, sports, and some are dedicated especially to European civil society organizations. So I would recommend to join those networks and be active in them. It can keep you up to date, first of all, also about the EU policy in your area you're working in, which is like a very good side effect and you anyways need to know about when applying for EU funded projects. But also they have super informative websites and newsletters. So you can get updates on funding opportunities, on events. You can connect with partners at their events. You can get to know those member organizations. So this is always a good point to start. Look at this network, just Google and try to find, or also if you are working in the area since a while, you might already know of the biggest stakeholders on European level. So my recommendation always is sign up to their events, sign up to their newsletters and get engaged. And also Michael mentioned that partner finding trips. So in-person meetings is essential. So you actually can meet the people and talk to them in person that you maybe will be working with for years. So investing here some resources, investing some money is very helpful. There are multiple EU events out there you could join. You could look at the EU networks I just mentioned, or you just Google it. You will find all of these events online. It's definitely worth to invest resources here and go also in person to European countries, to other European countries and events. One popular method is to look up former beneficiaries. So you could do just some research. The programs, the EU funding programs, they have their own websites. They list the results there, so all the funded projects before. They share success stories. There's also the funding and tender portal where are all the open calls. So if you click there on the program, you also find a list of results. So you will see all the projects that were funded in the past. And then you have a list of project partners. Then again, you can Google those project partners because you think, okay, this was an interesting topic that I also would like to work with. And this organization looks interesting. So you just Google them, you find the contact details. You could just easily reach out and say, look, I was doing some research. I saw that you did this project. We're developing a very similar project here over here. Would you be interested in a conversation? So really just an easy start could be interesting to scope out and could be a very effective method in this case. Also here mentioned by Michael, we are very lucky in Ireland to have excellent national contact points. And Michael mentioned LEAGRIS, they are the ones for Erasmus+. So every EU program has its own national contact point. That's usually an organization here in Ireland. They are super helpful when it comes to advices around the project idea you have, advice around the EU program itself, around application, and they can also help with partnerships too. For example, if you don't know who's the national contact point for Interreg Atlantic area, you can either Google it or you can also check our website. We have every EU program there. You just click on it and then you find a contact to the national contact point. And they are really super helpful also in a different way because they have usually excellent websites, they have newsletters, you can sign up to them, you can register for events that they run either in Ireland, also abroad. Join them, they are often in person, they can be online, they are super busy in this area, for example, Creative Europe National Contact Point, or also the Marie Curie program, the Interregs. This is always a good place definitely to start. And also just to mention, there are, especially after calls were published, so for bigger programs like Horizon Europe or for LIFE, you have often calls that are published, and afterwards happening online are brokerage events. So that is also, it's not in person, but however, you would be able to scope out sometimes hundreds of organizations who are interested in especially those calls online, but still you get an overview actually who's active, who could be interesting for me. So if you are interested in these brokerage events, you don't know where to find them, we usually post them in our newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter, or also we usually share them on our Twitter page. So if you would like to benefit from the fact that we do all the research on every EU program out there, then please use all the information that we're sharing with you. This was also mentioned, LinkedIn, Facebook, a very interesting way to find also partners, because this is just one example I found, and I'm also part of a lot of groups, partner finding groups on Facebook and on LinkedIn. These, you see this here, so there are like a lot of organizations signed up to, or people signed up to and registered and followed. So this is a good point to reach a lot of people very quickly and with a broad scope. This is also very simple. This can be connected to a program as you have it here, for example, Erasmus+, but it's also out there for other programs, or even just like broad partner finding groups on LinkedIn and Facebook. Very easy to find if you put it in the search bar. And what I would like also to highlight is what a lot of people use is these partner finding tools and databases. I just collected here a list. They can be useful, definitely. They are often not especially targeted at civil society or social enterprises, and also some are better than others. So often they are cluttered with a lot of profiles and you really don't know what to do here. We listed here some that could be of help. And we will send on these slides so you can look afterwards if this is interesting for you. You should have always like an idea what you're actually looking for. So for example, if you work in adult education or vocational education and training, the ePail partner search could be interesting. If you work with youth organizations, Salto Youth Atlas could be interesting. Or the Crowd Helix, this is something that was set up to bring researchers and other entities. This includes also nonprofits together. So if you would like to look at increasing research or engaged research projects, Crowd Helix could be a good place to go to. What I would like to highlight is also that the programs themselves have matchmaking platforms. So they develop them more and more. You see it here for Erasmus, you have it for SURF. That's usually just a form you fill out. And then it's shared with all those people who signed up. We have an Interreg Europe community. We have a new Marie Curie matchmaking platform. And I just show you the Interreg Northwest Europe online community. You see that here, you sign up. And then you have a profile, you have access to all these organizations, and you also have here people and organizations who post concrete project ideas where you have contact details and can reach out to the people directly. So these are run by the national contact points very often. They are run by the programs themselves or by the national contact points. You always need to check, it's very different, but they can be a good starting point if you already know which program you actually would like to apply for, because then you find those people who are exactly or who are interested in exactly the same cause. What I would highlight is, would like to highlight is also our partner database. So as Access Europe, we created an own partner database. And the very special thing about this, that it is for Irish civil society organizations only. We would like to make partner brokerage easier because we saw, okay, this is an issue when it comes to your funding. And we wanted to highlight civil society organizations. Right now, there are about 100 profiles on the platform, and they are from organizations from all over Ireland. They are from all sorts of fields, including youth, volunteering, sports, health, environmental arts organizations. And I just show you one example. This is the example of the profile for the Wheel, where we describe the focus of our work, our interests, funding goals, key strengths. Then you have the possibility to add pictures, videos, social media handles, and so forth. So you can show the potential of your organization, you share your contact details, and this is the possibility to be contacted by organizations who are interested to become a partner or to invite you into a consortium. Yeah, registration is very easy. You just fill out the form. It will probably take about 20 minutes. Should you have any questions about this, you just reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to help you with that. And just letting you know that this database is not only just existing out there, it is, of course, on the one hand, an opportunity for you. You have this profile then online, so you can share it easily also with other partner organizations. You can showcase your potential and your motivation. But also our team, the Access Europe team, is working hard in promoting the database. We have a lot of European networks, we have stakeholders, we are in contact with the national agencies in other countries. So we have social media, events, trainings also that we ourselves join across Europe. So we promote this partner database in every possibility, actually, on every opportunity that is there. So we bring it out there so that other people actually can look you up and say, oh, that is really, really interesting. I would like to contact this organization in this special working area. So my last 5 minutes, I would like to dedicate to 5 concrete steps on how to connect now with your partners. So we covered the part of where to find partners. Now you got now like an idea of what kind of tools you actually can use. And I will share just the concrete steps that you could take. And we already heard it a little bit from Michael. So let's have the scenario that you actually have an own project idea. It can be different. Maybe you just say, look, I just would like to join an already existing consortium. But if you have, it's a point where you say, I have a project. I have a project idea in mind. I would like to build my own consortium. Before you actually reach out to organizations, our recommendation is to create a project concept note. There's a template for this, and we will share this with you also afterwards. And in this template, you summarize your project, and it gives the organizations that you reach out to, that you found via events, whatever, it gives this partner organization all the main info that they need to make a decision. I would recommend to develop or to spend some time on this and really develop a concept note that you're happy to share with partners, to list what you see here, the target groups, the priorities that you address, the key outcomes, and so forth. If you're now wondering, how do I come to that step? We will not cover this today, of course, but we have run trainings on this topic. So you check our YouTube channel and you will find trainings on this. There you will have trainings on how to design actually your project, right? So you would already be on that. You would already be on that step. As I mentioned, so you have identified potential partners, also with an appropriate expertise, and now it's time to reach out. I always recommend to reach out early. So don't respond also yourself. If you get a partner invite, maybe like 2 weeks before the deadline, don't do it, because, or like, scope it out. But the question is, why do they reach out so late? And the same is for you. If you are reaching out to people, usually people don't respond to last minute invites. And it's really hard also to then to have the spaces, yeah, to clarify all the questions that you have. So definitely reach out early. This is an example how you could reach out. So it is really pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You just write a nice email, you attach the template. Please don't explain too much of your project in the body of an email. Put it all in this concept note so they see, okay, they grasp actually like the facts, and they see you are prepared, you know what you're talking about. You introduce yourself, your organization, your concept, and also why you actually have them in mind. So they want to hear why you reach out to them, right? And most importantly, also why they should be choosing you. So there must be or should be at least an overlap in that. Then the step 3. Let's say you got now, after you're reaching out to organizations that would have the potential and would bring the key competencies to your project, you got some positive answers. Next step would, of course, be to set up a meeting, a Zoom meeting, a telephone call, whatever. Again, we will recommend to come prepared, have a short presentation ready, ask questions, get to know them, ask about their capacity, the expertise, the networks they have. Look them up, do a little bit of research, what kind of project that was mentioned before, what kind of projects did they do in the past. So just to understand and to scope exactly that out, is that a partner I can work with? And scope them out is key here. So make no promises at this stage. If you're not sure, don't include them. This is just what is like, this is general advice. We had it just trust your instincts in this point. Step 4 would be, if you now, let's say, have found organizations who would like to join a consortium, and most importantly, you're also willing to work with, this is the stage to tweak and finalize the project concept note, and also to allocate partner roles. We were speaking about that beforehand. Who is the lead? Who is the coordinator? Who has responsible for which work package, outcomes, and so forth. You definitely should allocate and clear and evenly distribute the partner roles. We would even recommend to get a partner agreement. So write it all up and make them sign it, because also this can happen. I don't know if Michael had that before, but that some people drop out like the last minute. And that is, of course, even like before, like the, before you even hand it in the application.
We had somebody drop out after the first meeting.
Yes.
After approval.
After approval, see, this can happen, right?
Yeah, after the kickoff meeting.
I hope we were able still to deliver the project then.
We were able to deliver the project, but we worked very hard to get the money back that we had paid them up front. That's why I said be very careful how much you pay up front.
Exactly. Yes, and even that you had, this is a very good example, Michael, thanks for sharing, because they signed this already, like they got the money and they even dropped out. So that is really, can be really risky. So to have those agreements upfront, try to have that in case. So last step, or not last step, there it starts actually the whole thing, but last step, I will be able to cover today is to start the process of co-writing, which is actually the application. So you write this application with all the partners, they deliver their own parts. It can be a very intense process. There are different, again, tools out there to do that. We are, again, not able to cover the whole grant writing, application writing part today. Sorry about that, just mentioning that this, as I said, can be also a very intense process by itself. And because, again, you're writing this with a lot of different people, and they have their own interests, they have their own goals, and you still need to be focused on the scope of the call topic and still to do this project, but they will bring in their own interests. So staying here focused on something is important. I have to stop that here, because otherwise I would start with the whole application writing, grant writing part, and that would just be too much. But this is just to give you an idea of, okay, how could I actually reach that moment? But again, as also probably Michael would agree, there starts the fun. So there starts also the whole work within the consortium. Yes, what we would like to do now is to ask you, how do you usually go about finding partners on EU level? So do you have any go-to events, newsletters, websites? Are you someone who prefers the personal contact? So how do you go about finding partners? And we will created a Menti for that. My colleague puts all the information in the chat. You can see it here. So either you click on the link and that brings you to menti.com, or you put in the email, the website and the code. And then we will try to collect your wisdom on this topic. I will give you 1 minute for that.
Do you want me to go ahead and share the results so you can?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Okay, here we go.
And Will Byrne is just sharing in the chat that the annual EU Info Day is great for networking. I totally agree. There are info days for every EU program. So we see the results. Thank you, Emily. Our good friend Google, definitely. I use that. Facebook, exactly. We heard that. ePail is a very good go-to source. The EU Information Day, the EU Commission. I think that what is meant here is probably like the funding and tenders portal, where you find the results and the former projects and the former beneficiaries, and then you can look up the partners here. So definitely a very good go-to place. Yeah, and unknown. Yeah, that's why we're here today. And I see more coming in. We have LinkedIn, we have social media, PPN, definitely very good. POBAL, exactly, they are the national contact point for a new program. The Wheel, we're always happy to help, of course, and networking. Okay, great. Thanks a lot for sharing this with us. And now I would look at the time. We're really good. I would encourage you to ask questions in case there would be questions for Michael or for me. Emily, did you see any in the chat? Were there any new ones?
Yeah, there's one from Will Byrne from Special Olympics. I would love to hear from someone who has gone through a pillar assessment with the DG unit.
Oh, wow. Michael, did you ever do that? Me neither. I'm very sorry. What we could do, Will, is that we ask inside the Wheel if someone has expertise with this. Would you write us an email afterwards and then we could check that?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, and hi, guys, it's William here from Special Olympics.
Yeah.
We've been blessed over the last 12 years to receive over 25 million euro worth of EU grants, and we have 8 open EU grants at the moment. One little thing here, and I know everything Michael said was absolutely spot on. one thing I would highly recommend is to get into the partnerships and take on the partnerships. Because when you do go to Information Day and you could have 500 partners there, there's only 5 or 6 or 7 Irish partners there. And we are missing plenty of opportunity to get funding. Now, obviously, you can't fit a circle into a square. And I know Michael had said that before, you have to get the right partner, the right grants, the right partners. But there is so many opportunities there with the Erasmus, True Health, Sophia. There's so many entities out there within the EU, which a lot of these organizations can apply for. In terms of the DG unit and the pillar assessment, what we're doing here is actually applying for grants this call, on a normal call for proposals. The next step up is outside the partnership and become a consortium. And Michael might have some experience there. And then the next level up, which we're looking at the moment, is to become almost, if I can say, the inner circle of where you're guaranteed millions of pounds a year for each charity. And charities like this can do this, they have a direct link and mission with the government. And what happens there is that the DG unit will carry out, if they do a legal review and accept it, they ask you to carry out a 9-pillar assessment. We're just going to start the 9-pillar assessment. But I was just thinking if Michael or anyone in this call had some experience, because there's so few entities in Europe who've gone through this, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thanks, Will. That sounds impressive. And it also sounds a bit scary, the 9-pillar assessment. So I hope you're able to do that. I would ask the question to the group, is there anyone out there who is familiar with that? We know of that process, but we have never been involved in it. So we would not be able to have insights, right? We just know how that looks like and that it's possible. But yeah, again, is there anyone from this group who would like to go on, Mike? Okay, so.
No, I would say, Will, I would say that I can ask through our networks in Europe and see if somebody there, and if they are, I'll put them in touch with you. But,
thank you so much. I'll drop you my email there, Michael. Thank you.
I've definitely not experienced it myself anyway, so.
Yeah, no.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much.
We can do the same. So that's definitely possible. Maybe we find someone who went through that. But first of all, like, great, congratulations on your successes in that field. And yeah, there are not so many Irish organizations involved yet. That's why there's such a huge opportunity actually to get engaged. So anyone else who maybe would like, or do we have another question to chat, Emily?
No, there's nothing else in the chat. So I don't know if anybody wants to come on mic and ask a question.
Anyone would like to use that opportunity to ask a question to us about partnerships? Yes.
Eddie from Cork Community Media Hub.
Hi.
Just a quick one. I know this might be off topic a bit, but is the UK out of the picture completely now because of Brexit? Because in the past we've built up relationships with some groups in community media. So is that gone?
Yes. That's a yes. And actually, what is happening now is that a lot of organizations set up an Irish office, kind of, to be able to still participate. Because of course, what you said, there are established relationships. So we know of some that are now based in Dublin, just opened an office, and to be able to have like an official address, they still want to take part. Otherwise, no.
Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else who would like to ask a question?
Just one little bit of housekeeping as well. If anyone does want to become a partner, apply for an EU grant, you do have to register online to get a PIC number, a PIC number we call it. Very simple process. And if you Google EU PIC number, PIC, the information will come up. It only takes an hour or two and it's validated, I think, over the evening with the EU. And then later on, when you become part of a grant, you may have to pick a LEAR, it's a legal representative. That takes a little bit more time. So these are just the little housekeeping things. When you have a grant or agreement in front of you, you have to have these things in place. You cannot be part of an EU partnership grant without a PIC, but it's very easy to get.
Exactly. Thanks for sharing this, Will. And actually doing this, you can already do it now. So you don't need anything exactly. They just confirm it, but you don't need to have like a project or partners or whatever. You need it anyways at that stage. So this is something that you can do beforehand to be prepared in case the whole process and the consortium starts working or would like to hand in an application. That's an excellent point. Thanks a lot for sharing this, Will. Okay, anyone else having a question on partnerships and would like to use this opportunity? If we're all good, are we good? Okay, then I'm happy also to close this event a little bit early. I think we got a lot of information here. I would like to thank a lot, Michael, definitely, for sharing your experience. That was super concrete. You brought us a lot of real life examples, and that is always the most valuable part, I think. I hope that also it gave you an idea of how to go about now finding partners, how to establish a partnership. Just mentioning Access Europe is here also to help. So in case you're having other questions, you can reach us via email, look us up. So we're there. We are very happy to set up individual advice calls also. And we have run a lot of other trainings. So in case just this was your start with EU funding, and otherwise, that's it. Thanks a lot for joining. I enjoy your afternoon, hopefully in the sun, and see you next time. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.